What's going on, guys? Pete Nova here with the Faceoff Sports Network. I am back today with my buddy Hoff, and we're going to do a best ball live draft on DraftKings. So, not Underdog, not Drafters, not Fast Draft. Today, we're going to do DraftKings. We're trying out a couple of different platforms, getting a feel for the different rooms, different people that are drafting, and so we're going to give DraftKings a try and close out this Sunday and get ready for the week. Hoff, how we doing, man?
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. Hanging in there. Yeah, getting ready for another week. Counting down to the draft finally. Feels like we're finally getting there. But fast draft, that's still not available in New York, right?
No, not available in New York. When I get more info on it, we'll start plugging it and getting that going.
Yep. They already took Underdog away from us, so there's that. So thanks a lot, Kathy Hochul. Yeah. But no, we got our DraftKings, so we'll do that. That's one platform where you and I can both use it at the same time.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole mess. I can't draft on Drafters, you can't draft on Underdog. It's a whole mess. But all right, well, why don't we jump in now because we don't know how quickly the room is going to fill.
So you have to hit, by the way, join, and then it asks you if you're doing fast or slow, and that's when you actually pay.
Yeah, I remember. So let me
So tell me when you get to that point.
Yeah, hold on. It's checking my location real quick. All right, so we're gonna do the $10, right?
Yeah, $10 holla.
So let's do the 10. Best ball. Early bid tournament. Hold on. NFL.
I'm in the NFL Best Ball $1 million training camp. $200K to first.
See, I don't see that. That's weird.
Let me back out. Try. Let me click on NFL.
I got it now. Yep, I see it now.
Okay, there you go. So,
all right, cool.
Enter. And did you hit enter again, like with the $10?
I'm hitting enter now. I understand, and I'm hitting it in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, I'm in. So, hopefully, that's just put us in the same one because that would be awkward.
Yeah, so. 8 out of 12, not bad. We only got 4 more spots to fill here. So yeah, I mean, if anybody is here watching the show on YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you call it these days, and you want to join us, feel free to hop in. But
yeah, again, it's the NFL Best Ball $1 million training camp, $200K to first.
Yeah, this could take a little bit. We still got 4 spots left.
Good.
So while we kind of wait for that, why don't we kind of talk a little bit about some NFL news because there's some recent things that have kind of gone on. I think the biggest thing is for the Dolphins. Teron Armstead, left tackle, retired, Pro Bowler, 5-time Pro Bowler, retiring after 12 seasons, which is a big deal. That offensive line has a lot of issues. I think we expected that he was going to retire, to be honest. At least I did when they restructured it and they said that he was considering it. So now it's official, but
I mean, 12 years, he didn't have much time left. So
yeah, I mean, tackles can go for a long time. I'm sure he could have still played, at a decent level. But it's really about the fact that, his body's probably breaking down. And so, yeah, but I'm going to pull up the Dolphins depth chart really quick. Because
I will say one thing that bothers me while you pull that up, somebody tweeted, which I reposted, there's been some videos of Tua partying, having a good time. And somebody's like, I've seen no videos of him throwing, none of this, none of that. Like, calm down. We've watched videos of guys who do cone drills and they come out and they wind up stinking the whole year. Like, it's not. And also, we're going to take what?
Videos. Jerry Jeudy has a route running video every offseason where he looks like God's gift to earth. And, took him 5 years to finally have a breakout year.
It's just like we're going to take 3 or 4 videos that combined span less than 5 minutes. And we're going to now say that's the last 3 months of this guy's life. Like,
well, I also think I don't know, what kind of player are you looking for? Do you want a guy that works in silence or do you want a guy that's all about social media and, how he looks to people and yada, yada, yada? I mean,
George Kittle's been in Paris wearing a bear costume at a fucking rave. Like, am I worried? Like, no. He'll get to work. It'll be fine. Like,
Yeah.
he's never had those question marks either, is the other thing I'm going with. So, what? Did that suddenly just happen now? I don't know. I just think it was over the top, a little dramatic. But the loss of
I think the fans are they're pretty impatient, I think, at this point, so. But, I mean, right now, their offensive line sports Austin Jackson at right tackle. I mean, I'm looking at his profile now.
Ooh, we're starting,
2-year starter.
2 minutes.
Oh, wow. It filled up already? That was quick. We needed 4 spots, and all of a sudden just happened. All right, well, I'll run through this quick. But Austin Jackson, nothing to write home about. James Daniels, who I believe they just brought in at right guard. He's a big guy, 27 years old, originally came from Chicago. I mean, 7 years in the NFL, has experience, but if Chicago's letting a guy walk, I mean, I can't imagine he must be that good, considering all their issues on the O-line. Jamie, what's up, man? How's it going? Mediator said, "What's up, Hoff?" Oh, what's up? What about me? But yeah, I mean, the point is that this offensive line is not very good, and so me and Matt have a bet on if they'll go guard at 13. The guard out of Alabama is who Matt thinks they'll go with. I'm not sold on it yet. I like him, but I don't know. So we'll see. But why don't you share the screen? Get that all pulled up. Albert's in the house.
I already have it good. We're 50 seconds away from the draft. And by the way, just to add some spice to it, you and I are picking back to back. I'm at 10. You are at 11. So
look at that.
Be some
and we have a whole new view here. So I'm 11. You're 10 or 12. You said
10.
I am the Shane Gillis picture.
Yes, I am lucky lefty 11. In case anybody ever wants to challenge me in anything, feel free. Tend to get those a lot during the year. So, Tyler Booker, lock it up.
Yeah, Tyler Booker is the guard out of Alabama.
Yeah, I figured.
But all right, well, I mean, this will be my. I did like 2 or 3 best ball drafts in February. This will be my first one. You've done a lot more of them than I have. So
yeah, I have.
You'll curious to see your thoughts on how you're navigating things. I mean, look, everything changes in best ball. You have people that'll say it's great to draft this early because you get all this value. And then you have guys that you take and we don't know landing spots for the draft. And you might bank on, kicking the running back cone down the road, and then you pick a bunch of guys that are in spots that are in shaky positions who draft a bunch of rookies. Anyway, go ahead.
I was gonna say I've been doing a bunch of these. Actually, me and Anthony did a couple that were actually like on the Faceoff, like live. We did a couple live streams of it, and I will say one thing I've noticed: Jamar Chase is almost always going number 1. Justin Fields has been shooting up ADP, like not when you go on a website and look at the ADP, but just watching these drafts develop. I feel like Fields is going higher and higher.
Yeah.
And I'm usually comfortable picking towards the back end, but I have actually hated my teams when I'm at the back end. So,
yeah,
which is great. I'm picking 10. So cool.
You're 10. I'm 11. Mr. Grapefruit is in here. What's up, man? Mr. Grapefruit's becoming more of a staple, and especially he always shows up for the best ball draft. So we got to get him in one of these with us. I think, we can kind of talk about how the first round so far. I really don't love Saquon Barkley, being the first running back overall. I know there's a history, right? Derrick Henry had a history of, he had the amount of touches that Saquon had. I think it's like 400 or something coming off of a season with 400,
especially with the playoffs too.
Yeah. But there's never been it's very unprecedented for a guy to come back with a really strong season after that. So I just have concerns taking Saquon that high, to be completely honest with you. I think he's gonna have a solid year, but I just have concern. Tell me about your pick too while you talk a little about Saquon.
Oh yeah, no, Saquon. Yeah, I think it was around 375 total. No, or maybe more. It was up there, but yeah, it was kind of unprecedented. Then you talk about the age, 28. He's had some injuries in the past, So yeah, no, I think this cause for concern. I actually like Bijan Robinson to be the RB1, but I ended up with the 10th pick here. I did take Malik Neighbors. I still feel good about Neighbors. I mean, listen, we can crack all the jokes we want about the quarterback room there with the Giants, but the quarterback room was just as much of a joke last year too, and it was just fine for Neighbors.
Yeah.
So that's how I rolled. But you took Brock Bowers, so go ahead and make your next pick and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I get Bowers. I mean, to get St. Brown on the way back feels like a gift. I'm only going to take St. Brown here because I just feel like it's going to be unique. Now, it might not be as unique because a lot of people probably you can have St. Brown in the first round and get Bowers on the turn, possibly. It's not as common, but I'm sure there'll be builds that have both of those guys. But I'm just going to take St. Brown and Bowers just for fun and just for the uniqueness. Look, with Bowers, he's getting an upgrade. It's hard to do much worse than what they had there last year. And I'm comfortable taking him there. I mean, with all the volume, I mean, even if they bring other people in, like, I don't think that hurts Bowers.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things with some of these really elite tight ends. Like teams sometimes have just. I mean, how many times did we say why are they not double teaming Travis Kelce? Why are they not double teaming Gronk? I'm not saying he's those guys, but when your skill set demands the ball like that, for some reason it just feels like teams. Like even when they try to double team them, they can't. They lose. They lose the player on the field, especially at the tight end position. So, I'm not worried for Bowers at all. I think it's fine. I think his capital at the turn is good, and I'm comfortable. If I'm gonna take a tight end early, like it feels crazy. It really does feel crazy. Tight end first round, but
idea, yeah, I guess. But
in best ball, it's a little different. I feel like
back into the first round, fine. I could see it be more of an eyebrow raiser if it was like the first 8 picks, and you're taking Bowers within there.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we had Genti go 8th overall, which is interesting in the first round. So there you go. But yeah, I ended up taking Derrick Henry. You kind of talked about it with Barkley with question marks, and to me, there's question marks around all these running backs at the top. And with Derrick Henry, it's the age. It's, eventually Father Time's going to catch up to him. Didn't last year. And the receptions don't hurt him because people used to complain about that too. It was between him and Achane for me. And, we just talked about the offensive line and how that could be a problem this year for Achane. So, you know what? I will roll the dice on another year of Derrick Henry being a very talented running back. But, I mean, it's getting there, though. He is getting long in the tooth. But feel good about that. One thing I think is interesting, which, by the way, we'll squeak NFL news into here, was, Aaron Glenn didn't say exactly, but suggested that like multiple running backs will be used in New York. It's almost like a platoon situation almost. So
yeah,
people were already worried about Breece Hall, but we're going into second pick of the third round, and Breece Hall is still not drafted, where if this was last year, he would have already been off the board.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the discount on Breece all day. I think bringing in Fields is an upgrade. I talked about it with Matt the other day. I'm comfortable with it. I think there's rumors, right, that maybe he's going to be traded too. I don't buy it. I think it's just smoke. I think it's just talk. I don't think that's actually going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I'd much rather take Breece Hall than Garrett Wilson. I mean, I'll continue to say it, man. Like I'm not that high on Garrett Wilson. He goes off the board here at the 304. Sorry, at the 306. I mean, if I was going to take Garrett Wilson, like my problem with Garrett Wilson is this, like I'm not big on taking quarterbacks all the time, but you have Jaden Daniels sitting there, right? Do I want Jaden Daniels is going to, for sure is going to win you multiple weeks. It's going to happen. Garrett Wilson, maybe a couple you can count on, maybe like maybe 3 weeks where he wins you the week. Maybe I don't know. And so to me, I feel like I'd rather just take the surefire, quarterback there and get the elite player, and just go for the elite. Give me as many elite players as I can get. That's kind of how I look at it. And yeah, Am I up or are you up? What's
I am up.
Oh, you're up.
Draft
No, you're
board.
about to be up. You're about to
I
be up.
am up.
So that's
And
kind of where I feel. I just think like you can get a guy like Garrett Wilson picks later with DJ Moore, in my opinion.
mm,
You like I'd be comfortable taking chances on guys like Rashid Rice, Devonta
ugh,
Smith. Like I don't know. I mean, like to me, I'd rather just take the chance on like Garrett Wilson's likely a mid to high wide receiver too.
I
Like,
hate what
is
I
that
just
fair?
did.
I don't know.
No, it's fair. No, it's fair. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
You're on the clock, but I'm tilting because I wanted Terry McLaurin and he was taken. So I ended up going with Mike Evans. Not in love with it, and I'm one of the bigger Mike Evans supporters that you'll find. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to go. And you took Brees Hall. I didn't want to go the Brees Hall route. I kind of wanted to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get Evans. I mean, second wide receiver, not the worst position to be in, but this is why this is a recurring theme for me. I don't like picking towards the back of these drafts, which is weird for me because I always love that. So new territory.
So with Hertz and the tush push, we talk about it though. Like, do you think his ADP has adjusted already? I'm going to take a look at that actually, but I'm on the clock here, so I'm going to go with Burrow just because
Ah,
we talk about league winning weeks, and Burrow had. I mean, how many times did people stack Bengals? And like they just had with that defense, it doesn't look like it's going to get much better. So like I'm going to try to get Bengal stacks as much as I can. Um, I like
yeah.
the weekly winners. I won a bunch of weekly winners last season off
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah,
I
those are
just
cool.
drafted a bunch of Bengals stacks. Like I tried to leave every draft with every single Bengals player. It was hard. I didn't always shake out that way.
Well, you
But if
won
you
week
could
17, probably. That's for sure. Remember
yeah,
that one?
yeah, yeah. Oh, I remember I won like 3 or 4. But it wasn't like a lot of money because in those like you still got to reach the top, but I was in the money a good couple of weeks with those stacks. So
So you have a guy from each position here. You got your tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. Is that normally how you like to do best ball drafts, or is this just how it's shaken out for you? Because this is the beauty of best ball drafts is, by the time the season starts, Pete, you're going to be doing a bunch of these. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. So, but do you like
yeah,
this start for you, or?
I'm fine with it. I think my mindset with best ball this year is I feel like last year, you definitely have to have a strategy in best ball. But I just want the best team possible. That's my
Sure.
mindset this year. I'm gonna try a couple of different things, or maybe I punt a certain position, and I'm gonna try those. But I would say like 70% of my builds this year are just going to be off of the best, just getting elite talent. That's why I'm saying like quarterback in round 3. Like if I can get Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, or Lamar in round 3, or even Burrow
Yep.
in round 4, like I'm okay with that because we're talking about best ball. And to me, I felt like last year we like many people tried so hard, us included. Like we tried so hard, like there was so much strategy, like trying to and there are correlations in best ball. I'm not saying that, but you look at a lot of the best
Sure.
ball guys last year that didn't really do they didn't necessarily finish as high. A lot of best ball guys that are big in the industry like didn't have great years, and I think part of
Yeah,
that
last
was
year was a weird year.
well, everybody was on the train of let's punt the running back position, and running
Mhm.
backs had a resurgence, and people that actually like the boomer of fantasy football, though, like old school guys drafted running backs like they do because they're bell cow. Like that's just old school fantasy football. You draft running backs, like that's
You
just
Actually,
what
have
it
a
was.
little. Actually, have a little nugget on that too. By the way, running backs.
Well,
Uh, in,
go ahead.
what's that? Good.
No, no.
No, no, you go.
Just to close out, I just think in general, I'm trying to not I'm trying not to there are correlations that I'm going to look for, and I'm not saying I'm just going to go in blind completely, but
Good.
I'm not worrying too much about you got to have this many tight ends, you got to have this many like I'm not going to take 5 quarterbacks, but I think like I'm not going to like pass up on good players because I'm trying to get a certain build of like 2, 6, 6, 5. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to
Sure,
do that
sure,
as much.
sure.
And I felt like I
Okay.
did that way too much last year where I was passing up on players I really liked because I was like, I'm trying to meet some sort of specific build. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. No, that's true. I was gonna say, In 2024, there were 113 times in which a running back ran for over 100 yards. It was the most since 2012 when it was 121. And in the last decade, there have only been 4 times in which there were over 100 times in which running backs ran for over 100 yards in a given season. So to your point, running backs, and that's what I do when I've got nothing else better to do. I'm just geeking out looking up stats. So there's that.
Well, we're gonna have to pull those out a little bit more this year.
Apparently, yeah.
So you're about to be up. I was gonna say, once you pick and we get out of this round, talk about your team real quick, talk about mine, and then let's scroll down a little bit on the board.
Sure.
I do want to, while you're picking, I want to shout out some of the chat. FF Mediators, Matt said, I'm with Pete on the value on Hall. Jamie said, what's Hoff drinking tonight? Does Pete have a cocktail for the draft? I drank a lot last night, so I will say that I don't want any alcohol at the moment. So
I'm just going with I'm sorry to disappoint as usual. I'm just going with a simple Coors Light, but I will have to get another one after I talk about my team.
Okay.
So sorry to disappoint.
You didn't disappoint me.
I disappointed him.
Yeah,
I usually get ripped on this show when I'm drinking Coors Light, so it's fine. That
There
happens.
you go. I took old reliable David Montgomery. I'll have a little bit of a Detroit stack there with him and St. Brown. And then who else? Index of Suspicion said, I'm trying to hurt friendships with teams this year that I build, not as much receivers. Hasn't scoring been pointing down recently. Scoring a little bit. I'd have to pull the numbers to take a look. I think there was a dip in the last 2 years for scoring. I know for the first like 6 weeks in the NFL season there was a dip in scoring. I'm also on the clock, right? So
Yes,
let me
you
take this here.
That's
I wanted
interesting.
to
This build next to you. Go ahead,
Yeah,
man.
I almost went with Metcalf, banking on Rodgers going there, but
So did I actually.
yeah, I didn't really love that, but I took Sutton. I'll take Sutton. He had some big weeks last year.
Let me see this. Where am I going here? You know what? You know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get my guy. I'm going to get Juwan Jennings. I'm going to roll the dice on quarterback for another round. So real quick, my team so far is Malik Neighbors, Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Najee Harris, and then Juwan Jennings. The Juwan Jennings pick, honestly, is I know people are going to freak out when they see Ayuk's ADP. I mean, the fact that he still hasn't been picked yet, but you have to keep in mind that knee injury he had was not a great one. So it might take him even till mid-season to be playing or get up to speed. You got to ramp up all this stuff. So we saw what Juwan Jennings could do last year. He was almost 1,000-yard receiver, if not for getting thrown out of the game for playing like a man. I did see a Michelob Ultra comment there. So see, I told you I always get made fun of. But I'm gonna take Juwan Jennings for those potential boom weeks. But I am going to probably go with a quarterback next way around. With that being said, I'm going to go get another Coors Light, and Pete, you can talk about your team. I'll be right back.
So I'm going to talk about my team, but I'll also get to your question, Index, about the scoring. So so last year, 2025. Let me see. So I have 2023. I don't see 2024 yet on here. I'll see if I can find 2024. But 2023 was since 2001, 2023 was 6th in terms of total points scored. But there was a run there with 2020 and 2021 where those were the highest points per game totals in the NFL. I'm sorry, total points in the NFL. Now, points per game is probably more indicative. So let me go to points per game because total points is skewed because we did get an extra game. So points per game 2020 was 24.8 total points per game, on league average. 2013 was actually the second most. That was actually the year Peyton Manning and the Broncos had that amazing offense where he broke all those records. 2018, 2021, 2019, 2015. You have to scroll all the way down to 2023 is 21.8 points and 2022. So back-to-back seasons coming into last year, it was 13th and 14th since 2000 was where those 2 years lined up. In the last 22 years, those 2 years ranked 13 and 14 in points per game. So there was a dip. I mean, there definitely was a dip in points per game. And again, 2020 was the most we've seen since 2001, and 2021 was the fourth most we've seen. So there was a big decline. I think the big thing for that was a lot of teams are running too high shells. In part, like on defense, in part to, limit the explosive plays. That's why you see a lot of Mahomes. If you look at his statistics, like he's checking the ball down a lot. Like his average depth for throws are not nearly as far as they were earlier on in his career, which would be those years in 2020 and 2021 where he had those big seasons. And I think a lot of teams are just running that because it's become the staple to limit explosive plays. It's a bend but don't break defense. It's the Vic Fangio style defense, right? Bend but don't break. Like it drives you crazy. There's a lot of cushions from the corners, and there's a lot of room for the wide receivers to catch the ball and make a play. But that's just kind of what the NFL has shifted to a little bit, and I think that's a big reason. But the pendulum always swings on these things. Because of that, we're seeing more running backs. Like that's why the running backs bounced back last year, because teams start to game plan where they draft more athletic, smaller linebackers, right, to cover in pass coverage. And because of that, teams started running the football more. And that's why you saw that last year, because a lot of teams were built to stop the pass and a lot more athletic linebackers and smaller guys.
You're
So
on the clock, by the way. 10
I
seconds.
know. One of my favorite values, and I'm going to take him here, is Brandon Ayuk. I mean, Brandon Ayuk, from what I've read, it seems like he's looks to be progressing, pretty decent. And I mean, I'll take Brandon Ayuk. I'll take a chance on him over. I mean, Travis Hunter is a pick or two ahead of him. Like, I think Travis Hunter could be good, but I'm not taking him. You're like at this point, I'll take some rookies at some point, but I'm not taking risks on a guy who I don't even know what position he's going to play.
That
So
part I get. That
yeah,
that aspect, but yeah.
yeah,
I am just, I am a little bit worried about Ayuk and when he'll actually be ready. They are saying though that he's progressing. They're saying that things are healing the way that they're supposed to, which is all the things you want to hear. But yeah, I just don't think we're going to have a real clear indicator on where Ayuk is going to be until like training camp actually starts, and if he's participating at all, what's he doing? So, but again, you're taking him in the 7th round in a Niners offense. We expect to bounce back. Not a terrible pick. You were also on the clock with 3-2.
yeah. I didn't really love the last one here. I took Jaden Reed.
Run
I
some
pair
stuff
up with
down the
Jaden
line.
Reed, who's the volatile guy, and I'm pairing him up with some guys like Sutton, and like who probably provide a decent floor. Maybe Jaden Reed can give me some pop. Yeah, so we talked, and then I'm going to get to Index's comment, but we talked about the tush push with Jalen Hurts and how has that affected him. So since in the last 2 days, which we did, I can even back the count. Why don't I back the calendar up?
I took
The
your boy
meeting.
Bo Nix,
When
by
did
the
the
way.
meetings? When did the meetings start last week? Like Monday? I
Uh,
think Monday. It's probably Monday.
Monday or
Um,
Tuesday. Yeah.
yeah. So
I think the AFC was first, and then the NFC went after that in terms of
okay.
the coaches speaking.
So Hertz since February has moved down about 7 spots in ADP. But since last week, maybe there might just not be enough people drafting for there to be much of a correlation right now.
Right.
With the tush push, but he really hasn't moved a ton. He's actually moved up 0.1, which is not even a full spot. Um, So he's not really moving too much. I'm a little surprised by that because I thought maybe there would be some movement on him, but nothing really. And it's probably a big reason because there's not a lot of people drafting yet, right? We're kind of the early birds here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think, to people who are new to best ball or want to get into best ball, I do think it'll pick up once the NFL draft comes and goes, because
mm,
then you really have a good idea of obviously where the rookies land, but how that impacts veterans on other teams potentially. So I think that's when you'll start to see it all pick up. I mean, that's why. I mean, we're doing the $10 one here today. Every one I've done before this has been $3, $1. Because again, you don't know what's going to happen with the draft. But I got that itch, so get me in there. But I do think, to your point, I think we'll see an uptick and get a real indicator on ADP once the NFL draft comes and goes.
yeah, I mean, look, there are some people that have moved like a decent amount.
Sure.
In the last 2 weeks, the biggest mover is Chuba Hubbard, right? He's moved down 3.8 spots. Um,
Chuba.
he's the biggest mover. There's guys that have moved up. Omarion Hampton up 2.8 spots. Devontae Adam
Yeah,
up 2.5. I'm sure Adams jumped up, which we do the rises and fallers for dynasty startups, and Adams moved up almost a full round. So I'm sure if I back this thing up, Adams moved up since last month 2.9 spots. So some people may be buying in, some people maybe not, but he's moved up a little bit. And the biggest mover is Omarion Hampton, which is probably fair because he's picked up a lot of steam from people who think that he's going to be going in the first round, which I think seems almost a lock at this point.
sure. Yeah.
So let me ask you, Hoff, because Index said,
Yeah.
if I got to take a guy off the medical table, give me CMC over Ayuk in 2025. He said his order would go, in terms of if he had to spend Kittle, then CMC, then Purdy, then Jennings. I assume Ayuk is maybe after Jennings. So he
Probably.
likes, he likes Ayuk the least out of everybody, which, I mean, I don't blame people, right? People were burned a little bit. And then
Sure.
he said, where are the dollar games at? Yeah, we'll get into
There,
some dollar drafts. They have them
well,
on here.
the dollar drafts are here on DraftKings. That's where the
Yeah.
dollar drafts are. They have them on
Yeah.
here. If you're someone who's doing drafters, the lowest they have is $3. Again, I've been outlawed from doing underdog because I live in New York, so I can't tell you that one. But yeah. So, but no, I wouldn't completely disagree with that. I'd probably put CMC in front of Kittle only because I know Kittle played incredible last year. Um, as good, if not better, at least in terms of consistency, since that big breakout year he had. Where I believe he got the record for yards in the season by a tight end. But I would probably go ahead. I'd probably put CMC in front only because I know lower leg injuries are something to worry about when you're talking about a running back, especially when you're getting to the age that McCaffrey's getting to. But he's also had so much time to recover. I'm going to bank on that over Ayuk at least. And we all know how I feel about Jawan Jennings because I just talked about him. But I'm on the clock. But no, I don't hate that call. Plus, I love Brock Purdy. I just took Bo Nix over Purdy because I do love me some Bo Nix, as you know, Pete. That's not me kissing your ass. That's a real thing. I am finally going to jump in and take a tight end. I'm going to take David Njoku. Let me scroll down here for people viewing. Sorry about that. Njoku, actually, little fun fact, finished as the tight end 11. First tight end since Antonio Gates in 2015 to finish as a top 12 tight end while playing in less than 12 games. And among tight ends that played in 10 or more games, Njoku had the highest percentage of games with 5 or more targets, 90.9%. So got his targets.
So I just
spazzed.
I spazzed a little bit, by the way.
Good times. Talk about it.
I want to get Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. I was trying to look at the guy behind me, what his build was if he had a tight end.
Sure.
I couldn't figure out how to get back to the lobby. I finally did. He didn't take a tight end, so and he takes Ingram. I fucking
and that was the one you wanted,
it.
wasn't it?
Oh my god, I knew he was gonna take Ingram. Ah, fucking hell, man.
I'll say this: if I hadn't gotten David Njoku right there, it was going to be Evan Ingram. Like if
Yeah.
David Njoku was off the board, it would have been Ingram. So
Yeah, that's all right.
so you might not have gotten him anyway potentially, but you didn't get him either way. Good
So
for you.
I'm not in love with this next guy either, but I'm just gonna risk it for the biscuit. I like the Christian Kirk thing. We could talk a little bit more
10th
about that,
round
but
is go ahead.
I don't. I think. Look, if you look at what Stephon Diggs did, Christian Kirk is very similar to Stephon Diggs. The way they were deployed last year in the slot, and the way that they're going to use Kirk, I think, is going to be almost exactly how Diggs was used. And Diggs had a really good start to the year, if people remember. But Michael Pittman Jr., right? I am one of the he was when we did our calls last year, Michael Pittman Jr. was my flag plant for players to avoid, and we did that show, and he was my biggest player to avoid. That turned out to be true, but at pick one, he's going at like pick 110, 111 is his like ADP right now. I mean, if Daniel Jones does truly get the snaps that we think he's going to get this year, I think Pittman's a pretty good value there. And I love Josh Downs, so don't get me wrong, but I mean, I just think I don't know. I mean, I just think I think he's a good value for where he's at. And look at what Daniel Jones did for Wandale Robinson. Look what he did for
Sure.
Malik Neighbors. He was able to feed both of those guys, and they were viable in PPR. So I think Pittman's is a nice value here this late at this point in the draft.
Yeah, one game with 20 or more points, 6 games with 10 or more points. But again, it's we got to see what Daniel Jones does. I've been a little bit outspoken on this, and there is a YouTube video in our here on FF Faceoff where I basically say Daniel Jones is going to start more games. Do not draft Anthony Richardson under any circumstances. So, yeah, hopefully Richardson can. Hopefully Daniel Jones can do some good there, as we hope for Pittman. But
Yeah.
I went Rashid Shaheed after that. Much like you with Pittman, don't love the pick. I am going to buy into a little bit of an offensive resurgence here in New Orleans, at least in terms of wide receivers. I believe they were the only team in the NFL to not have a wide receiver with more than 50 targets. I got to double check that, but I do have it here handy. But it can only go up, right? So, and again, 10th round, I'll take a shot on Shaheed. I feel pretty good about the rest of my build so far. Just rifle through my team real quick. It's Malik Neighbors, Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Najee Harris, Juwan Jennings, Tyrone Tracy, who I like in the 7th round, Mr. Bo Nix, David Njoku, and then, Rashid Shaheed. So I like my build well enough to say, let's just roll the dice on Shaheed. So, Pete, any thoughts there on Shaheed? Any thoughts on New Orleans in general? I mean,
I thought about Shaheed there. There was some consideration. I worry that his game is predicated on explosiveness,
sure.
and coming
Which
off of
would
that
be good for
injury.
best ball, though, no? Oh, the
Well, but
injury.
coming
Yeah.
off the injury concerns
Yeah.
me for the explosiveness. Like it's usually like that you don't get that explosiveness back until like 1 year post is usually, but things have changed. A lot of guys keep getting, the guys keep coming back faster and stronger from these injuries.
Right.
So I don't hate the move. So Index said I'm out on Njoku, ready to for the craft singles. Yeah, we'll do some dollar drafts. Jamie said, Pate, aren't you married? I don't think you should love any guys. Well, yeah,
Jesus,
don't
Jamie.
don't get any ideas, Jamie.
Mm,
But yes, I did just get married. Index
nice.
said, and I want to get to Matt's comment because he sent us something about Hertz. Um, Index said, did Pittman have back surgery? And also said, A Rich is off my board this year. He needs to go back to training school. Yeah, me and Hoff have been pretty vocal on our opinions on Pittman. I mean, on A Rich. I'm drafting Pittman here solely because I think A Rich is not going to hold down the job. And whether he does get benched or not, I think he's going to get hurt at some point, which is pretty much what you can bank on with him. And so I think Daniel Jones should probably help Pittman in that case. So, yeah, I mean,
But they are who we thought they were.
Yeah. Jamie said I took A-Rich today in the 14th round and got Downs in the 8th. I like Downs. Don't get me wrong. I look, if you're gonna take Richardson, sure. I'm not gonna fault you for taking a guy in the 14th round. Those are
Yeah.
flyers. Like,
I mean, I'm
you're
still
taking
not
a
doing
chance
it, but
on
I
upside.
can't kill you for it.
Look, if Anthony Richardson does, gives you 4 really big spike weeks and only plays 8 games the next year, that's worth it. If you got a decent other solid quarterback, if he gives you 4 spike weeks, you're feeling fine. So, and then Index said by Kraft singles, I'm ready for the Tucker Kraft breakout. I thought maybe you were talking about Tucker Kraft, but because they're not, him and Njoku aren't on the same team, I thought maybe I was misinterpreting that. Now, you're about to be on the clock.
Yes,
And
sir.
then Matt said I just sent you some Jalen Hurts information. So this is interesting. So it comes from Dynasty Zoltan on Twitter, and it said Jalen Hurts in points per game from 2023 to 2024 had 21.7. Was good for QB5. If you remove his 22 push touchdowns, he had 16.1 points per game, which would be good for QB20. Now, he said, let's keep half of those. So if you keep half of those touchdowns, it's good for 18.9 points per game, netting him QB 12 in points per game. Now,
you're also on the clock, by the way, but keep going.
I still think Hurts is going to score touchdowns. I still think Hurts is going to score touchdowns.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here, like he's going to probably run touchdowns in. It just might not be. And they're going to do some variation of the QB sneak, I'm sure still. So I don't want to completely freak out. But I'm fine tearing off
you
of
don't
him
want
in
to overreact
Dynasty or something. Yeah, I mean, if you want to tear off him though in Dynasty, like I think that's fair. But I'm not going to completely freak out about him either. Now, is there anything else that you wanted to add on that?
No, I was just going to say, like, not that they freaked out, but people kind of thought about Saquon going to the Eagles last year. They were like, oh, what's going to happen in terms of the tush push? And, he goes on to have 5 games with over 30 fantasy points scored. So, I don't think we need to freak out too hard on that. But I am on the clock, so we'll get on that. But yeah.
Index said tush push will now equal scrambles and walk-ins. Yeah, I mean that's kind of my feeling too. They're gonna find ways to have him use his legs. I'm sure still. I'm not worried that he's just done and over with. In terms of rushing touchdowns, and maybe it's not as many, but I mean, maybe I got to see what they do. If Dallas Goedert's gone, that could change things, right? But if they bring in another weapon, they draft a tight end high, which there are rumors about, and it's a good receiving tight end weapon. That might boost his, boost your opinion on him as well.
I am curious to see what you wind up with in terms of second quarterback. I just took my second quarterback, 3rd pick in the 12th round. I took Bryce Young. Didn't have a top 12 week until week 12 in those 7 weeks. And so 7 games he played. Sorry, because he was benched. Don't forget. He averaged 7.1 points per game. From that week 12 game on, the rest of the year, he averaged 20.7. I'm going to roll the dice on Bryce Young at that point being a little bit humbled by being benched, grasping the Dave Canales offense a little bit better. And then we're going to talk about year 2 for him in that offense. So I like Bryce Young as a second quarterback. Again, not going to light the world on fire, but I'll take him. And just for good measure, around earlier, I took old man Adam Thielen. So, because why not?
You do love Adam Thielen.
I do love Adam Thielen. Can't explain it, but I like the guy.
I'm okay with what's left on the board at quarterback. If I end up getting Cam Ward as a backup for Burrow, even if I get Geno, or
that's
you
have Burrow. You're not really sweating it too hard.
No, I mean, look, Derek Carr. I mean, last year points per game 15.6. I'm not excited about it, but if Burrow got hurt and he's giving me 15.6, but the rest of my lineup steps up, okay. I can live with it. I'm not excited. That Derek Carr is like a break glass option, right? Kind of thing.
Sure.
I'm not like eyeing him as like that's gonna be my guy.
Right. Yeah.
If it fucking happens, it happens.
Like that's the master plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll just say Derek Carr to me. I know this sounds weird for a guy that just took Shaheed a few rounds ago, but Derek Carr to me is like soft porn. I just not interested. I don't want to.
I think
I
that
don't want that
I
smoke.
really I said it to you and Anthony the other day, but like I think the Saints are going to draft a quarterback, and it
Yeah.
really wouldn't surprise me if they trade up and grab like Shador. I had said to you that I think Saints. My guess today is it's going to be Cam Ward to the Titans. I think the
Sure.
Saints are going to trade up. I don't know where they're going to trade up. I think Shador might slip down a little bit farther than people expect, maybe outside the top 10. Not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Saints are going to
There is
trade up.
that.
Yep, I think Saints are going to trade up, and I think Jackson Dart's going to go to the Steelers. And then I think Milrow is going to find himself in Los Angeles. I don't know why. I doesn't even fit the mold of backing up Stafford, but it's a toy. I don't think he's going first round, but I think Milrow going there wouldn't be shocking at all. So that's my guess.
Yeah. I don't hate that. I mean, especially Dart. As far as the Steelers, I think that's what a lot of people are talking about. So
yeah,
it makes
man.
sense.
I forget how long these DraftKings drafts are, man. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks. Wow.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's much deeper lineups.
20 rounds. Yeah, so we're getting there.
Yeah, that's all right.
We'll breeze through. But all right,
yeah, go ahead.
What's that? Are you thinking quarterback here, or are you still gonna give it a little more? I mean, you have this 13th round pick, and then of course the quick turn.
Yeah, I mean, I got jammed up a little bit now that Cam. Excuse me. Long day.
Wow, you're right with that.
All right. Yeah. Oof.
Man.
Oof. I got jammed up a little bit. I mean, now I pretty much have to take fucking Darnold if he gets back to me. If I don't take Darnold, then I'm gonna have to take some sort of combination of Russ and Winston, possibly, which I definitely don't want. But that's just how she rolls.
It's very annoying when I go to switch from the players back to the draft board. I have to scroll down again, and then I have to scroll down even further because we're in the 13th round. Podcasting problems. But yeah, so I am one pick away, and I believe I'm going to grab my second tight end here. Just going to wait and see what this fella does with 15 seconds left and counting. So probably going to go tight end here. I'm waiting to click off the screen until this guy picks or gets timed out. He looks like he's getting timed out. Interesting. $10. You want to get timed out of these drafts, but okay. J.K. Dobbins, that's not who I was going to take. So clearly, because he does not play tight end, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to take Zach Ertz. I could have gone with a Mike Gesicki. I think Cole Kmet's always a solid option in terms of best ball tight ends. And then there's Brenton Strange, who a lot of people are excited about. But I'll go Zach Ertz. Signed another 1-year deal with the Commanders. We saw what he did last year, even though some people said he was going to be on a practice squad midway through the year. But finished as a top 12 tight end. So I'll sign up for that for my second tight end.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
What's his year?
I like Zach Ertz. There's a lot of other tight ends that are young that I like. Yeah. I don't mind taking a chance on Strange. I have Bowers, so I don't need it necessarily. But I thought about Hurts, and I did want to get Jaden Higgins, but I like Benson, and I knew. Oh man, yeah. I took Benson in my head. I said, look, if I take Sam Darnold and this guy takes Benson, I'm going to be pissed. If I take Benson and he takes Darnold, I'll live with it and swallow the pill and just draft. Honestly, I'll take Richardson. I'll take Richardson, and then I'll settle for some sort of combination of Winston and Winston and Russ maybe, or even take Rodgers. I don't know. I mean, I have Burrow, so I mean, if Burrow goes down, this build's shot anyway. So what are you gonna
do? Speaking of me hating on your Anthony Richardson pick, I'm going to pick one of his teammates, Alec Pierce. I can just keep being a hypocrite. Did have some nice weeks here and there, obviously. Few and far between, but again, we're in the 14th round, so I'm not banking on, weekly boom weeks out of Alec Pierce. So I'll roll the dice there. And, just circling back to you and the quarterback thing and the tight end thing. We mentioned tight end when I talked about Ertz. You do have a luxury when you draft a Brock Bowers and a Joe Burrow. You're not accounting for missing, you're not accounting for having weeks where the main guy you drafted isn't going to have a boom week. Like me, I drafted David Njoku at tight end. I feel good about it, but I wanted to get something sturdy behind it too, just in case he has some tough weeks, in case he gets hurt. So that's kind of where Zach Ertz fell into place for me. But you kind of have that luxury with a Brock Bowers. Obviously unforeseen injuries, but you have that luxury to wait a bit. So something to keep in mind when you're starting out your drafts and planning ahead towards the end.
Sure.
So don't hate him. I was debating taking Ray Davis. I was debating taking DeAndre Hopkins, but I did go Alec Pierce. What are your thoughts on Hopkins? Again, much later in the draft than we're used to seeing DeAndre Hopkins go, with good reason, but you going to take a stab at him at all, you think?
If Hopkins couldn't be successful for fantasy in that offense, not to say that that offense lit the world on fire, but I'm not excited to grab him in the Baltimore offense. I'm
What
really
you're saying,
not.
the Chiefs last year?
Yeah, I'm not excited to. Yeah, and I'm saying he's in Baltimore now. Like, to me, like, if he couldn't do it there, I'm not banking on him doing it here either. I did like Hollywood Brown. I think I liked the flashes that I saw when he was finally in the offense. I think he's going to be a very big part of that offense. So I'm excited. I mean, getting Hollywood Brown, I didn't talk about it before, but I like getting him at that 110 to 115 range where he's going right now. I think that's good value. I don't think he'll fall. I don't think he stays there. If I had to guess, I think Brown probably settles in somewhere around 80 to 85. Is probably where I see him settling down. So, but
I just pulled that up. Hopkins had less than 10 points scored in 12 out of his 16 games. Yikes.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking, 14th round, but still, it's still alarming. Almost worthy of another goat scream. So we'll just again. So.
Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah.
You asked me about my opinion on tight end, like, because
Sure.
I have Bowers, like, I mean, like, even like Kate Otten, like, looking at him last year, like, he had some really impressive games last year, and he's in an offense where there's a lot of aging players that are susceptible to getting hurt. So, like, I don't mind taking a chance on him. Like, if I mean, you look at his game log. 10 points, 11 points. He had a stretch where he had 21, 29, and 21. He's proven that he can do it in that offense. And if I'm taking Bowers, like, I'm taking a backup guy behind him that can pop, and I think Otten can find himself in some opportunities. That's why I don't like. There's no need for me, in my opinion, to reach on any tight ends. Like, at least up until this point, there's still a lot of solid guys I don't mind taking chances on.
Sure.
You might be on Noah Gray as a backup.
You could. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably rather have something besides Noah Gray, honestly.
Yeah.
In terms of just a 1 year,
yeah.
different if it's whatever. But I get what you're saying. Point being is that there's more than enough value there still, especially when you have a Brock Bowers. So I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, you got Mason Taylor's ADP is like 286, like, and I could take him with it's actually 227, but his rank's 286. Like, I think there's a solid chance he could go early day 2. Like, I like Mason Taylor a lot. Son of Jason Taylor, and then who's Jason Taylor's uncle? John, linebacker. Oh, fuck, who was it?
Yeah, I forget.
Shit,
can't help you.
Cousin of or nephew of Joy Taylor.
Yeah, which we won't go too far into that.
What I can't get over the picture of Whitlock when he does, like, when he's like talking about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, dude.
So yeah, good times.
Shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a fun few weeks. All right. I'm coming up here. What are we in? Let me pull this up here. The 15th round. All right. This is where we start drafting, to me at least. I guess best available ish in a way. Start to round some of this out. Am I officially on the clock yet? Let me see this.
I think you are.
Nope. Oh,
No.
I'm about to be. There you go. There
Oh,
goes
Derek.
your boy. There you go.
The auto pick guy.
Yeah, for real. You know what? I'm gonna take Kareem Hunt here. Actually, got brought back by Kansas City. I do think that backfield isn't going to be hopelessly devoted to one running back in particular. I do think we could see some decent games out of Kareem Hunt. Not a ton, 3 weeks where he's, scores a touchdown, maybe breaks something. So I'll take that again. 15th round, not a bad investment. You also went running back there. You want to talk about that or?
Yeah, I mean, I took Justice Hill. It's a pretty big reach, but I was running out of time, and um, he's had some pop games. I don't love taking too many wide receivers this late unless they're like
Sure.
established. Because like I like Pop Douglas a lot. I don't mind taking a chance on a guy like him. I'm not really a big fan of Cole Kmet on the tight ends position. I do need a backup though.
You don't like him in best ball though? Not to say to take him right now, but just in
No,
general.
I'll take
Oh, you did
Kmet
take him.
just because of the taking a chance, but I
Yeah.
won't have much Cole Kmet exposure this year. To be honest with you.
It's just personally where I always found myself drafting Kmet would be in best ball. I'm gonna go Wandell here. Wandell Robinson didn't play terrible last year, obviously. Played pretty damn well. Let me get Mike Evans off the screen. Sorry about that. But yeah, now if they draft Travis Hunter and if they use Travis Hunter as a wide receiver, then this pick will be weird. But again, 16th round, we're gonna be okay. But I'll take that there. Again, when you talk about 20 rounds here, we're getting to the point where it's like every single pick we make, we're gonna kind of end our reasoning with being like, you never know. Try it out.
I wouldn't, like I said, I really wouldn't fault anybody for taking anyone. Like at this point, like even guys that I truly hate, like I am not a big fan of Cole Kmet. I took him. I don't love Anthony Richardson. I took him too. Like,
Hmm.
you like sometimes you like, especially in best ball, like you still want to have some exposure at times. Now, if we're
Sure.
talking higher up in the draft, like first 5, 6 rounds, I can understand being like, I'm never going to take this guy just because of where he's being valued. But when you get to like pick 100 and beyond, you can talk yourself into taking chances on some of those guys because there's not a ton of risk. And if you are wrong and that person that you're so far out on ends up being good, okay, great. You ended up making out. But if they weren't good, you're not really losing out on much. And it's good to have some different variation in your builds. And so yeah, I mean that I just like Garrett Wilson, for example. If Garrett Wilson inflates up to the 2-3 turn, I'll never
Yeah.
touch him. I mean, if he's going at the 212 to 301,
Sure.
302, I'm just not like that. There won't be a situation I don't think this year where I touch him. It's like that's just that simple.
All right. The other thing to keep in mind too, when you're drafting these best ball teams, I mean, I would go in periodically throughout the season to see because they'll eventually show you, like, say you're new to best ball, if you do 10 drafts, if you go on the app, they'll tell you like you have X amount of teams that are currently in the money. You don't have to necessarily click on each team to find out if they are. I so seldom will click on each team and look at it during the regular season. To me,
Mhm.
best ball is like found money once the year ends.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I got something that's really in the high stakes, it's doing well. Obviously, I want to keep an eye on that. But I'm saying all that in terms of like Pete, you talked about taking players that you really don't like. You're also not living and dying every week with like shit. I got to start this guy. I don't want to do
Yeah,
this. You know,
exactly.
like you don't have to make that call. If he has a pop week, you go, all right, that's cool, that works. Like Richardson, again, people who like him, he's gonna have a couple boom weeks as long as he starts, I guess. But yeah, so it's just again, it's like another way of saying found money. It's like, oh, cool, he had a boom week.
You can be right, and the guy can still have a couple pop weeks, and you can still be right. I mean, there's a fine blend of we're talking redraft and we're talking like managed leagues and we're talking best ball. To your point, like I don't love Anthony Richardson, but going at like pick 120, yeah, I mean, I might take him in a situation like this time where I was super desperate and didn't have a backup. All right, well, if he gives me a couple spike weeks, cool. Like,
well, it just goes to show you how volatile he really is. I mean, he had 4 games last year with over 20 points, but he had 5 games with less than 10.
Right, and if he gives me 4 games next year of 20 points, that pick will be worth it.
When you have Joe Burrow already.
Right.
Yeah. So,
or you might make the argument, well, you should just have a guy that's safe, that can stay healthy, but you can't predict any of that. Now, there are some guys
you got to take your shots, on those.
Well, there's some guys that their play style, like Richardson, leads them to get hurt more often than others. But
I
mean, if I sat here and said, I'm going to take Russell Wilson because he's a safer player. I mean, is he? I don't know. He might get benched after 5 games at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you know?
What are we doing with that fucking quarterback room?
Yeah, I mean, that's a mess. I mean, my situation's kind of a mess. I don't know. Maybe I'll take. I just don't feel like wasting picks. I might just take Winston at the end here. Just say screw it and take Winston.
That 12 team is absolutely going to take Jameis Winston now because you just mentioned it because they seem to be sniping you left and right.
Yeah, it's a weird build over there, man.
Yeah,
he's
scary in the streets. Look at that. What's a lot of quarterback.
He doesn't really have much at running back. He took CMC. He took CMC, Warren, and Mason, and Braylon Allen, and he just loaded up on wide receivers.
Didn't take a quarterback till 12. He's got McCarthy, Darnold, Rodgers. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to take another quarterback.
Pick a player here.
Well, you got 5.
One guy I keep going back to late in these best ball drafts. I mean, he's running back out in Vegas. And no, it's not because he's a 49ers legend. It's just because Raheem Mostert in the 17th round, could he give me a week or two where he, I'll take it. Again, we're not getting the Raheem Mostert we got, 2 years ago was that? Where he was scoring touchdowns by the handful, but I'll roll the dice here in the 17th round, 10th pick of the 17th.
Sure.
Like, I'm not going to wake up one morning in January and be like, God, why did I draft Raheem Mostert back in April? Like, what was I thinking? Like,
Yeah. I get it.
I'll take it.
There's been a lot of talk lately about Kenneth Gainwell.
Yep. That's another one.
I mean, he finds himself in an interesting situation with the Steelers.
Yep.
Jaylen Warren.
I actually have him in a couple best ball that I did on Drafters already. Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, it's interesting.
5, 4, 3, 2.
I'll take Yoshivas. Just because I'm stacking. I'm not my only stack with Burrow. I actually don't have. I have like the only stacks I have are Richardson and Pittman and Burrow and Yoshivas. So,
sure. All right. Curious for your thoughts here. Anthony's done this. I've done this. I'm going to do it again. He currently doesn't have a team to call home, but
I almost took Cooper.
Yeah, Amari Cooper. You have to imagine he's going to sign on with a team at some point. Maybe he's waiting for some of these players at this point. They're waiting for the draft to happen. So maybe post-draft we see Amari Cooper find a home, but like to me, it's not like we're talking about DeAndre Hopkins who went rounds earlier only because he has a team right now. Like I think if Cooper signs with the team tomorrow, I would bank on him having a better fantasy season than DeAndre Hopkins.
No, yeah,
and I'm getting them rounds later. So.
I mean, if I was gonna bank on, I don't even need to know what team Amari Cooper goes to. I would bank that he's gonna have a better year than Hopkins for sure.
Yeah,
in my
like I said earlier, 12 games with less than 10 points. I mean, Cooper. I mean, we all got excited when he went to Buffalo, but that proved to be.
I don't think it was as much as his fault as it was just the team, and You know,
The-
that was a whole
Yeah,
the whole situation was weird.
he had the injury too, which didn't
Yeah,
help matters. Then you're getting
correct.
into a new offense. So yeah, it's a lot of, those
No, I agree.
trades at the trade deadline are exciting, but it's not that easy.
No, I mean it's not. Yeah, no, it's not easy. I think I'm trying to think of who Cooper. Oh, hold on.
Oh wow. All right. Well, we're finishing the 18th round. We're heading into the 19th round here. We'll read off our teams after the draft is done. As long as DraftKings is good little boys and lets us look at it. But Christian Watson going all the way the 18th round just goes to show you people are now officially all over the fact that he is a very injury prone player. There goes Shador Sanders, second pick of the 19th round. And my favorite best ball pick actually in these late rounds is Kendra Miller, who goes third pick. Love that
Nah,
guy,
yeah,
especially at that price.
I agree. I agree.
Out of the Dennis Allen purgatory.
What a
So
disaster that shit was.
yeah. Well, onwards and upwards for the Saints offense, hopefully. The whole thing, and we've seen offenses again where quarterbacks are not wildly successful for fantasy, but their weapons are. I just have a hard time buying into Carr for being a consistent fantasy relevant quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel that way, then you got to be nervous a little bit about Shaheed, I would think.
A little bit, yeah. No, there's definitely risk there for sure. That could be a complete grenade blow up in the hand situation. Absolutely.
Yeah,
But but there's also the variable where the play calling is probably going to be better offensively. So I'm offensive minded head coach there now, so I can buy into that. So
yeah.
you're tossing it back and forth between pros and cons, but yeah, that's probably my riskiest pick, especially for where I took him. This guy just loves getting timed out, the guy in front of me, which is nice because I don't get sniped too
Why don't
often.
they just put guys on auto draft? Doesn't underdog does that?
Yeah, sure. But this guy doesn't care. So this guy's a rebel. All right, let me see here. What do I got here? You know what? I'm gonna be a damn hypocrite bashing New Orleans players. I'm gonna go with Brandon Cooks back with the Saints. You know me, two players I love, Adam Thielen and Brandon Cooks. So there you go.
You do love
How
it, Brandon
gross is
Cooks.
that pick to you? How much do you hate that?
I love Brandon Cooks, but after I put a lot of money on him when he was with the Cowboys last year. I don't remember what game it was, and he burnt the fuck out of me, man. So bad, so fucking bad. I
Jackass, yeah.
so bad.
Mm,
Yeah, not good.
good times. Well, you make your last pick here, and then you can read off your team for everybody.
Yeah. So let's see.
Man, you're letting
Hmm.
the clock run, huh?
I'll take Noah.
Did you mean to do that, or did you get timed out?
No, I meant it. Um.
Okay.
Well, look, if you guys are here, I know the comments kind of slowed down a little while ago, but if you guys are here and you haven't given us a thumbs up, it would be very much appreciated. We are, we're at 7 right now, so it'd be great
No,
if you're
right.
still watching. If you want to give us a thumbs up, it helps us out a lot.
Took Daniel Jones with my last pick. Again, I feel like we're going to see him start more games than Anthony Richardson. That's my call. So there you go.
Yeah, go for it. I
Daniel.
took Jackson Dart. I was thinking about. I probably could have. I probably should have took Daniel Jones to kind of hedge with Richardson as my backup, but
Yeah, but yeah.
what are you
I
gonna
mean,
do?
whatever. What are you gonna do? Just if Dart goes to Pittsburgh, like you believe, and I don't think is that far off. I actually dig that. But
Does he
if we
play this
also
year?
think Rogers is going there, yeah, he's not gonna.
No.
Yeah,
Well, Rodgers
you
could
never
stink.
know. Rogers could
But
stink, and again,
but I mean, Tomlin's history with young quarterbacks. I mean, He's gonna have probably a tough time putting Dart in there. So
yeah, we're also talking about your 19th round pick.
Well, it means a lot to me. I need backup.
I apologize, then. No, never mind. I'll shut my mouth. But yeah, a lot of swings for the fences here late for me. But you know what? That's what best ball's for. My favorite pick, probably, at least in terms of these later rounds for me, is probably Amari Cooper. Just because, again, like we said, I feel like he's going to latch on somewhere, and he'll be relevant for fantasy.
Yeah, I think Cooper's a good pick. I was really about to click on him, and I started burning time, and I ended up going with Yoshivas instead. But I was very close to going with Cooper, just because
again,
I get the stack, and Yoshivas still had some solid games. He scored some touchdowns. If he gets me 10 points a couple times, like at where he's going, I'll take it. It's fine.
And we got 2 more picks left in this wonderful draft, 20 rounds. Not gonna lie, I'm probably, after this is over, I'm probably gonna put on a random WrestleMania, and I'm gonna do another draft because I'm a nerd like that. That's probably what's gonna happen to me.
I thought you were gonna say you were gonna go to sleep.
Not yet. I got another hour in me.
I know it's late for you, buddy.
It's getting there. I think it's late for you. I mean, you were on it quite a bit. So did you want to read off your team, or you want to just people could follow along in the old YouTube, or?
Oh, we could read it real quick. That's fine. So, yeah, I got Bowers first round, St. Brown, Breece Hall, Joe Burrow, David Montgomery. So I'll just go over the groupings, right? So at tight end, I have Bowers, Komet, and Chigakonkwo. At quarterback, I have Burrow, Richardson, and Jackson Dart. At wide receiver, I got St. Brown, Sutton, Ayuk, Jaden Reed, Christian Kirk, Pittman, Hollywood Brown, Yoshivas. And then at running back, I got Breece Hall, David Montgomery, Trey Benson, Rashad White, Justice Hill, and I also didn't add that I also drafted Noah Gray, which I actually forgot that I took Chig, and so taking Noah Gray now feels silly because I thought he would have been my third tight end, but he's now my fourth, and I have Brock Bowers, so that was probably a wasted pick. But before I let you go, I'd say my 2 favorite picks are Rashad White and Hollywood Brown. I know Bucky Irving was good last year, but Rashad White should still be a viable mid to low end RB2, and that's fine. Bucky's dealt with some injuries last year a little bit too, and he's a smaller back. Like I could certainly see Rashad White still getting involved, and he's a good receiving back, and he blocks. And Trey Benson, maybe with James Conner ahead of him with the age and stuff, maybe he starts finally getting in year 2 gets more of a workload. So
yeah, all right, I don't hate it. By the way, I think it's kind of poetic. The guy that kept timing out in front of me, his team name is whatever. So there you go. So the lackadaisical was here from the jump. Anyway, I'll just read down from first round to 20th. I took Malik Neighbors, Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, who I'm optimistic in Ben Johnson offense, Najee Harris, Juwan Jennings, Tyrone Tracy, Bo Nix, David Njoku, Rashid Shaheed, Adam Thielen, Bryce Young. I finally get a stack somewhere, albeit in the 11th and 12th round. Zach Ertz, Alec Pierce, Kareem Hunt, Wan'Dale Robinson, Raheem Mostert, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, and Daniel Jones. Like I said, Amari Cooper is one of my favorite picks, obviously late in the draft. I do like getting Juwan Jennings. I like getting Najee Harris. Not really in love with Mike Evans, which is uncharted territory for me. Usually I'm always very excited to draft him, but that's it. So feel good about it, but I'll do another one. I will say this was, I mentioned a few times how I hate picking at the end of the draft so far. This is probably one of my better teams, at least in my opinion, picking at the back end.
I didn't realize you had Najee Harris. I like the Najee Harris pick. More and more, I'm starting to really like him. I didn't realize you took him right in front of me with David Montgomery. I probably would have taken. I maybe would have still taken Montgomery. I don't know. I'm such a Montgomery homer. So, but all in all, good show. We will be back later on this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, please do so. And we'll see you guys next time.